Greetings, adventurers. I'm Ash Eli, your preeminent dungeon master, ready to guide you through the worlds of magic, mystery, and mayhem. Whether you're into Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder 2, Vampire the Masquerade, Call of Cthulhu, or other tabletop RPGs, I've got you covered. I bring your favorite games to life with immersive storytelling, dynamic characters, and thrilling challenges. Whether you're a seasoned player or just starting out, my sessions are tailored to provide an epic experience for you and your friends. Want to learn more? Visit my page at startplaying.games/GM/Graven Ashes and join the adventure today. That's startplaying.games/GM/Graven Ashes. And let us embark on an epic quest together.
Welcome to the RPGBOT.Podcast. I'm Randall James, and with me is Tyler Kamstra.
Hi, everybody.
And also, Ash Eli.
Adventurers have meddled in my plans for the last time.
Ash, what are your plans?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, that's why he asked.
Well, my plans are to review this book, Eve of Ruin. I don't know what your guys' plans are.
Oh,
That's actually what I was intending to do as well.
Should we?
So stop
we
ruining
join
my
forces?
plans, or I'll have to cast Power Word Kill on you. Yes, let's join forces.
Definitely have
We
fewer
could
than
be the
100.
Podcasters 3.
Yes, perfect. All right.
So yeah,
Hopefully we're all in it for real. Like, we all intend to just do this podcast. Like, everybody's intent is to do the podcast and communicate to the listeners. And there's no, ulterior motives floating around amongst the Podcasters 3.
let me ask: are you two holding any secrets from me? I feel like you have some secrets, and I would
Okay.
like them.
I'm going to be real with you. The answer is absolutely. I don't know if this surprises you, but I haven't told you everything yet.
I've got a secret
Are
spaghetti
you
sauce
working
recipe.
for Vecna? Is that what you're doing?
I feel like
Secret
aren't
spaghetti
we all
sauce.
working for Vecna on this blessed day? Do
Yeah, we are.
you want to talk more about spicy yogurt?
No,
This is going
no, we do
well.
not.
This is going real well. No, I don't want to talk about your spicy yogurt that is most definitely expired, and you are probably going to get massively ill by the end of this podcast.
It's going to be great. All right, everybody, start a timer. Let's see how this
Oh
goes.
no!
All right, folks. So most folks at home, you heard our previous podcast. We had Amanda Hammond on the podcast, senior designer with Wizards, lead on the project for creating Vecna, Eve of Ruin. That was the spoiler. Well, it was still a little spoilerful, but it wasn't like super spoilerful. Warning right now, we're going to talk, maybe we get 5 or 10 minutes. We'll put up the big old flashers before we get there. A lot of what we're going to do tonight, chock full of spoilers. So if you're planning on playing this adventure, if you don't want to have things ruined, we're going to give you a warning when it's time to get out, but you're probably going to have to go.
Yeah, I mean, in order to talk about this book and give it a fair shake, we need to talk about all the wild twists and turns that happen in this book, and there are more than a few. I mean, as a campaign that builds itself on on making secrets a mechanic, that's to be expected. We can't even really discuss what happens in the first chapter. I think we could probably talk what happens in the first chapter. Well, no, I mean like the pitch or whatever I should say.
Okay, I got you.
Because they already put that in the advertisement material, like the Wizards 3 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for those who just want to know, is it good or bad? Stick around. We'll give our impressions so that you can decide whether you want to buy the book or not. And then we will say, okay, if you're not a DM, go away now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's really funny. Like, we did the episode with Amanda, and we got so much through it where I'm like, how is this like, this is all the spoilers. Like, you're telling us everything. And then we get our hands on the book and we actually read it, and I'm like, oh,
no, she didn't even reveal even half.
Yeah.
She didn't even reveal even half of the stuff. When I saw what the major twist was like, oh my God, Amanda, you're awesome. I love you.
Yeah. She was so good about she was so good.
I know, and I asked her a
herself.
direct question. She was so good about evading my question. Like I did read on her face that when I asked her that question, she was like, I had got her, and she was thrown off by that. She's like, I can't talk about that. But we'll get into that later. But I will just say, well, I know we always give this like warning whenever we're reviewing any adventure. If you even have the slightest inkling that you want to be a player in this game, please listen to that spoiler warning and click off this episode, because trust me, you do not want to spoil this for yourself. It is wild.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So before we jump,
I guess let's just start this off.
So before we jump into it, let's talk a little bit about Nest of the Eldritch Eye. So this was the free tie-in adventure published on D&D Beyond, basically to advertise Vecna, Eve of Ruin. Now, Randall, you told me that you have read it and have opinions. What can you tell us?
I have read it, and yeah, absolutely I have opinions. So let's be factual first. It starts in the same setting that Eve of Ruin starts in, so you're in Neverwinter. Your party is meant to be 4 to 6 level 3 adventures. And so we'll get into a moment like this primary adventure, Eve of Ruin, that we're going to talk through. You're going to start at level 10. In this, obviously, you're going to start way underpowered. You're going to start at level 3 compared to that. And the idea is there's been a merger and you're meant to get out and figure out what's going on. And so pretty quickly, you're going to find some evidence. You're going to use that evidence to hunt for cultists. And then you're going to yada yada your way to the end of the adventure. And at the end of it, everybody's like, oh, this was so great. You know, you prevented these great things. Or did you just stumble upon the breadcrumbs that are ultimately going to lead us to Eve of Ruin? I think it's a lot of fun. It'd be a great way to, you know, it is a one shot. I want to say they think it's going to take something like 2 to 4 hours to play, and reading the adventure, that feels about right. And so if you want to give the mood a try, you want to give the feeling of the larger campaign a try, it's probably a great intro. It's also a great way. Like I love the level 3 adventure for introducing folks to the game. Whereas I think the biggest thing with Eve of Ruin as an adventure, because you're starting at level 10, like you're immediately jumping into a reasonable amount of complexity as far as 5e is concerned. And so this could be a great way for newer players to like hop in, get a feel for things.
I think this is the big caveat I'm going to put over all of Eve of Ruin. And we said this when we were interviewing Amanda. This is not a game for new players at all. This is not something you want to throw players who are newish, even like they've played maybe a few sessions, so they're at least familiar with the game. It's definitely a game for veteran players. And this might be a good one, like if you want to do like one of the other adventures, because there's several adventures that Wizards of the Coast have put out that go from level 1 to 10. So you can just run one of those and then come back to this. And it's a pretty seamless, like if you play anything that's even tangentially related to Faerun, you'll have a great hook to bring your players into Eve of Ruin, which I think is a very good thing and works in its favor for sure.
I guess we're getting near the end of our spoiler-free content. Do we want to give just that, you know, yay, nay, and generically what we liked about it, and then we'll get into details? All right, go ahead.
I'm going to give this an emphatic yay. I really enjoyed this adventure. I think that it has a lot of cool twists that I wasn't expecting. It goes to some really cool places. It has some really awesome monsters, probably the most interesting creative monsters I've seen since Boo's Astral Menagerie or Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Like those had some of my favorite monsters in them. And this, it's great because you don't see a lot of high challenge rating monsters in D&D because nobody ever goes that high, and they just threw a ton. This basically could have its own bestiary. It has so many monsters in it. It has some really good boss fights. It's basically a love letter to everything D&D, especially for players who've been playing for a long time, not just 5th edition. It's going to be really cool for you guys. I think Amanda Hammond just knocked it out of the park with this. It's a really good book. It's probably my favorite adventure that WotC's ever put out.
Wow. Okay. That's a strong statement.
Yeah.
I'll go next. I liked it. It is a lot of fun. I agree, Ash, with everything that you said about it. From a DM's perspective, one of the problems I've had with some of the modules that we've looked at recently, there's these obvious inflection points where like the players might learn a thing, they might figure something out of their own because they're enterprising, things that are meant to be maybe not so challenging, like they're kind of giving handcuffs to give the players a chance. You're looking at it and saying like, I have a heavily optimized table, they're going to roll straight through this. How do I add additional complexity to this? I feel like what this module did really well for the DM is provide a lot of options like, hey, here's the deal. Your party may approach this particular problem this particular way. If they do, that's okay. Here's how you're going to handle it. So having that guidance for how to structure the adventure where it doesn't have to be this linear chain. There are options and the adventure is not broken if the players do something a little bit wild. I loved that they thought that through because it's going to be really valuable. you are probably playing with more veteran players if you're playing at these levels. And the player characters are going to be so much more powerful that they're going to have these options in front of them. So I loved that they handled those things. Maybe critically, there are, off the top of my head, at least 3 monsters that you might fight where, yeah, a lot of parties would absolutely get wrecked. And they structure it in a way that's like, okay, here's how to not wreck. But on the flip side, they really make it like very apparent of like, but hey, if they want a challenge, if you're up for it, here's how you can structure this thing to give it like, give your players the full experience. I really liked how they structured that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just wanted to add on to that. One of the big standouts for me was also, like Randall said, the fact that the book has a bunch of contingency options for the DM. Because a lot of this game is kind of like a big mystery as much as it is an epic clash with a demigod. It's also about solving a mystery. With mysteries, there's always a risk that the players will figure out the solution earlier than you intended to, perhaps much earlier. And the book basically is like, that's okay. It's fine. Here's what you do in that situation. And it has contingencies because I've run games with very smart players who don't trust easily. So it's nice to have those little suggestions of like, okay, here's what you do if this happens. Here's what you do if that happens. It's something that I've always praised. Like Chaosium is really good at this. Chaosium, when they release adventures, they always put contingencies and plan A's, plan B's, and plan C's so that the DM isn't just kind of left out. And one of my biggest criticisms of WotC Adventures is they weren't ever really doing that. It's just like the players will, like, the immediate thing that stands out to me is like Tomb of Annihilation, where like the players will willingly submit to being slaves to infiltrate this one compound. It's like, but what if they choose not to? I don't know what you're talking about. They're going to be slaves. And it's like, but what if they no slaves? So it's nice that WotC did that because that is good. If I had one gripe with this book, it would be, I wish the maps looked better. Don't get me wrong, the dungeons and stuff in this are phenomenally designed, but the maps look like ass. The maps, I know they're a throwback to like AD&D and like, second edition, that kind of stuff. Like if you're familiar with the dungeon generator or any dungeons from AD&D, it's going to look extremely familiar and incredibly basic. There are maps where they do go all out, but it's going to be, I think, the big problem with this is that it's going to be incredibly boring to look at. You're not supposed to really use the maps. Like, you're encouraged not to show the maps to your players. With virtual tabletops, that's kind of what you have to do. And I can foresee this being incredibly boring to go through for virtual tabletops because it's just a black and white map. And I'm just like, all right. So you might have to do some work to make them look presentable if you're planning on running this on a virtual tabletop.
Yeah, you guys hit a lot of great points there. I'm very fond of the like ink and grid paper map aesthetic because I spent so many years drawing maps that way myself. It feels very nostalgic to me, but yeah, Ash, your point about it being boring on a virtual tabletop, absolutely correct. Folks planning to play this on VTT, they might get to these maps and find that they're kind of boring unless Wizards has done something to dress them up that we don't know about from the book.
I checked, they have not. On Roll20, I checked the maps. They have not. Yeah, so if you're going to run this, my suggestion is take the maps that they give you and then like use that as a template to put in like Dungeon Fog Designer, or you can use Incarnate, or you can use Dungeon Alchemist. I know is really good, although that might be a little bit tricky because Dungeon Alchemist is AI generated, so it might put stuff in there that's not supposed to be in there. But those are just some suggestions if you want to make it look a bit more presentable.
I will say, like, a lot of the published adventures in 5e have had some quality problems, like poor editing, layout issues, just really obvious typos in a lot of places. I read this thing basically cover to cover and noticed absolutely no issues. So like, even there's so much done right about this adventure. Even the editing is a step up from what we usually expect from Wizards of the Coast. It's real good, guys. It's real good. I'm very impressed. I generally can't read an adventure cover to cover, but like, I really enjoyed that experience with this. Just reading it to see what's in here. The Ash and Randall, you guys got it. Like, the twists are cool. The surprises are fun. The challenges are great, and they're laid out well so you can challenge your players or not as you might need. Just in general, man, they did real good with this one.
Yeah, you can tell that they really wanted to get this one right. It's the last big send-off for 5th edition, and so they went all out, and that shows, which is why the quality of the map stuck out so clearly to me, because there's some amazing art in this book. There's some really good art in this book. Even the maps where they do put aesthetic design into are incredible to look at. So I just wish that they did that with all the maps. If that's the only gripe that I have, that's pretty good for WotC. So
I'm now imagining somebody putting out like a 99-cent map pack on DM's Guild. Like, look, it's the same.
You know it's going to happen. It's going to
Yeah.
happen. People did that for Spelljammer. They're going to do it for this one as well. I'm calling it now. If you don't want to do all that extra work, even though it might be hype to play it right now, maybe just wait a month or two for the communities to make maps for you, because I'm putting my money on that's going to happen. I just don't foresee me being the only one who has this complaint. So.
Agreed. So one of the fancier, more colorful maps is the map of the Sigil Sanctum, which is where the players will spend a lot of time in the adventure. I won't spoil why. There is this great big poster map of the Sanctum at the back of the book, and it looks very, very pretty, but it's also put in there and perforated, so I have to permanently tear it out of my book, and I am not emotionally prepared to do that.
The book you have is beautiful, so I don't blame you for that. Like, man, that special edition book that they have is gorgeous.
Oh gosh, I discovered a fun mystery on the special edition covers here. So here, I'm going to hold it up. So a few other folks have noticed this before me, apparently. So if you look at the back cover of the book, there's 7 runes in a circle, and those are the runes from the Rod of 7 Parts. Inside those runes, like that ring there's 3 smaller symbols. Folks who've played Baldur's Gate will immediately recognize the symbol of Ball, and it took me a minute to figure out the other 2. Did some digging around, talking to folks. The description of what's on the cover in the formatter in the book shows a version of the alternate cover art which doesn't include those 3 symbols. So I thought, I have discovered a fun mystery. What's going on here? Maybe we're going to get some hints for some future shenanigans. So I looked up, like, are those the symbols of the Dead 3? And then did some digging around. It turns out those are the cover symbols used for some of the official adventures in 5e's lifetime. The symbol of Ball is for Descent into Avernus. The one that's kind of diamond-shaped is for Curse of Strahd. And the weird kind of vague spider-shaped one is for Spelljammer. If you go back and look at those adventures, those icons appear at the top left corner of the standard cover art, as well as on the spines. And we learned today, thanks to Patreon supporter Thayer TR, we learned that the adventures that have those icons because they're the main storyline for that calendar year. So like these are the big, heavily advertised adventures, as opposed to like smaller ones that are like, hey, this is neat. You might get a little bit of supporting content, but that's all. Also, we learned some Thayer lore. It's now not pronounced Thayer Tur. TR is in fact initials for Trenchcoat Rutabaga.
That is not true. But fair enough. Mostly true. Just to give you guys like a brief like elevator pitch, you probably heard this from the advertising, but you know, Vecna's back. He's trying to rewrite the multiverse. The players get shunted into the Sanctum and Sigil, where the Wizards 3, that would be Mordenkainen, Tasha, and Illustrial Silverhand, are trying to figure out a way to stop Vecna. And yeah, exactly, Delta. Somehow Vecna returned. But, you know, Vecna originated that trope. He always comes back. He always finds a way to come back. They're trying to stop his plan and unintentionally summon your party because you guys have some sort of connection to Vecna. And that's basically all I can tell you without spoiling anything else. The big thing we should probably talk about, the other big thing that's a major part of this game and I think is really cool, is the secret mechanic. Do we want to touch on that a little bit?
In a spoiler-free way?
Yes, in a spoiler-free way. But
okay, no, I'm just checking because people are wondering that at home. I'm just...
Yes, we'll put up in flashing neon lights when we're getting into spoiler territory.
But they can't see this. It's a podcast.
Okay, we'll say it very loudly and multiple times.
So the DM does actually, like the sidebar that explains this says, just explain this to your players, because the expectation is the players are going to want to use this mechanic. Throughout the course of the adventure, players will hopefully discover secrets from various characters about various characters. and those will be tracked. Every time you learn a secret, it becomes a resource that you can then spend. When you spend the resource, if I remember correctly, you get advantage on ability checks and saving throws for a full minute. When you do this, it's pretty great.
I think it just says all rolls of the D20.
Honestly, you might be right, and I probably should have double checked. But check your book.
I'm gonna double check. While you talk, I'm gonna double check.
And so everybody in the party for a minute, every roll of D20.
Yeah, and that's going to have a huge impact. Like, that can very easily turn the course of any difficult fight. Because these are so powerful, you don't get very many. Players need to decide, like, do I use this now? Do I save this for later? Do I save this for the final boss? What are you going to do? It does encourage players to talk to the background NPCs, dig around for clues, read journals, other stuff like that. So even if your players aren't normally inclined to do that level of investigation, there's a lot to be gained here.
The other thing that should be noted, so you are encouraged to sort of keep your secrets as well for reasons that I'm not going to spoil here. So you may be tempted to just immediately spend them as quickly as possible. It's also worth your time to maybe hold on to them. The other reason why you want to hold on to them is because when you reveal that secret, when you spend that secret, you're essentially giving it to the multiverse and the wind, essentially, which erases the secret from your mind. You can learn it again. You can learn the secret again, but that does not mean you can spend it again because that secret has been spent. Also, if for some reason you reveal that secret to someone without doing it in this mystical way, you lose that secret's power and you cannot use it to spend it. So you're encouraged to sort of play things close to the chest.
Yeah, and to be clear, like if one player character learns a secret, it is effectively learning it for everyone. So you also can't play a fun game of like, well, I'll learn this secret and then I'll spend it and forget it. And then you learn the secret and you spend it and forget it. No, once it's spent, that secret is burnt for the entire party. And then, like you said, you can learn it. There's one exception where you do get to keep the knowledge. And I actually thought that was a fun and funny decision, but we're going to leave it alone, spoiler free. We're not doing anything there. But
I mean, to be fair, it's kind of important because if your players spend that secret, the game's over. So
it's like we're done here, right?
Well, all right, I guess. All right.
I feel like it could have been fun to figure out a way around that, where like the story still made sense or something. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's a cool mechanic. If anything, I'm not going to say how many there are. There are more than 5 and less than 50. Give you an idea of range. I love the mechanic. I hope people do fun things with it more generally. I feel like as a meta currency, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Like it could really break some games. It could really like break the math. I think in the right games, in the right setting, that could actually just be a lot of fun to do more generally.
This is an epic level campaign. Everything's broken. But yeah, so for our DMs, like at the beginning of every chapter that's in this book, it gives you a list of secrets that your players can find out. As a player, though, you shouldn't expect your DM to hand these out. You need to actively go looking for them. And sometimes they're really hard to get, as secrets are for most people. So you're encouraged to be suspicious of people, question everybody you meet, try to figure out what their true motives are. Again, like I said, this is as much a mystery as is an epic level adventure jaunt MacGuffin hunt. So be wary, be perceptive, and be insightful.
All right, are we ready for spoilers now?
Yeah, I think that ends the spoiler-free section of the review. So if this is as far as you're going, I think we're all agreed. It's good. Pick it up. Have your DM run it for you. It's a lot of fun.
And yeah, we'll have a link in the show notes.
All right.
You're gone now, right? Like, or if you're still here, you want to talk spoilers?
All right, let's spoil everything.
Let's talk spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eve of ruining this game for you.
That major twist is so good. So yeah, if you're a DM, the big major twist of this entire game is Mordenkainen isn't actually Mordenkainen. He's Koss in disguise. And he is playing both the other two mages and the adventurers for fools. It's great. Because I remember I asked Amanda, I was like, does Koss make an appearance in this book? And she's like, I can't talk about that. I was just like, yes, he does. He does.
Okay, so for folks at home who maybe aren't familiar with Vecna lore, remind them who Koss is.
So Koss is Vecna's major arch enemy. He used to serve the Lich as his right-hand man, but then because of the famous Sword of Kos, which is a legendary item in the DMG, it's been there since the beginning of 5th edition. It's an evil blade that whispered sweet nothings into Kos's ear and told him that he could supplant Vecna, when really the blade just wanted someone it could control. It wanted to be in power, and Kos was an easy patsy. So Kos attacked Vecna, managed to kill the Lich, but the Lich sent him into the domain of dread. But Kos ended up carving out Vecna's eye and his hand. So if you're wondering where the hand and the eye of Vecna come from, that's because Kos cut them out. And Kos was in the domains of dread for a long time, but the book states that the Dread Lords,
The Dark Powers.
thought that the Dark Powers, that's what I mean. The Dark Powers thought they wanted to take advantage of what Vecna was doing, and they realized that Kos was good to do that. So they're like, okay, Kos, we're letting you go so that you can kill Vecna. He's like, yes, I want to do this. I do want to kill Vecna.
I love that idea a little bit for Kos, though, where it's like, okay, so kind of your downfall a little bit. Because honestly, you had a good thing being the lieutenant for Vecna. And then you got this sword, and the sword's like, I got a great idea for us, buddy. What if we rise to power? Wouldn't that be a lot of fun? Because the Sword of Kos wanted to actually rule over everything. And then again, the Dark Powers are like, hey, Kos, we got a great idea. We're going to kick you out of the domains of dread because we could do something awesome. Don't you want to do that, buddy? And he's like, again, absolutely. This sounds wonderful. What is he going to learn?
He's going to learn that he gets played for a fool really easily. And there's a reason why the sword picked him to be its patsy, because he's really easy to manipulate. But Kos's plan, and it spells this out in chapter 1. So if you get this book, do not let your players read any part of it. There's nothing in here for them.
Agreed.
So literally everything is only for the DM. It is not for the players. There's no character options, no backgrounds, no that. So just don't even let them look at the first page because they will be spoiled immediately.
No.
Yeah, no. Kos's plan is he wants to get the Rod of 7 Parts, which was used to bind Mishka the wolf spider in Pandemonium. If you're not familiar with him, this is very much a rogues gallery of all the famous D&D villains throughout the years. There's a reason why people have called it the Avengers of villains of D&D. That's basically what it is. That's why I said that this game is really good, especially for people who've been playing for a really long time, like pre-5th edition, because there's people who are really famous through all of the editions that haven't made an appearance in 5th edition that are now making an appearance, and it's great. So Mishka the Wolf Spider was one of the most powerful demons in the Abyss. He was sealed in a demiplane in Pandemonium with the Rod of 7 Parts. Kos's plan is to get the Rod of 7 Parts, free Mishka the Wolf Spider, and together they are going to stop Vecna's, or usurp Vecna's ritual for themselves. Because what Vecna's trying to do is he's trying to use the power of secrets to remake the fabric of the multiverse in his image. And Kos wants to take that power for himself.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit more, because that's ultimately what's driving us. And it is the thing that gets presented to the players pretty early on. So you're an adventuring group in Neverwinter. You stumble upon some cult activity where a bunch of nobles have been kidnapped. And basically, they're trying to get secrets out of the nobles. And that's when you're meant to introduce the idea of the power of secrets to the players. They're eventually going to potentially, if they talk to the nobles, they're going to learn some of these secrets. And then they can, at the end of that, they gain a link to Vecna because they broke up the ritual in a particular way. And then you seemingly go on your way. And the book even says you could do this as and you all go on your merry way for 3 or 4 years. And then all of a sudden, or it could be the next month. It doesn't really matter. Whatever's fun. Yeah. Tell your own story.
The timing of a lot of the stuff in here is really flexible, which I appreciate. It has a lot of contingencies. So if your players are kind of messing around and not really doing what they're supposed to do, is be like, okay, maybe encourage them. Hey, the multiverse is at stake. Can you not?
What if we don't explore right now?
But we're shopping.
Yeah. The cultists, all of these cultists of Vecna are out there stealing secrets everywhere, and they're giving these secrets to Vecna because Vecna has a plan. His plan is he's going to go somewhere very special. He has a mechanism of fueling magic with secrets. He is going to unmake the multiverse and then remake the multiverse in a version that of his preference, which is basically going to lead to torment and destruction of all of his enemies and servitude of all living beings to Vecna. It's going to be a terrible place, and nobody's excited about it. Somehow the Dark Powers learned about this. They went to Cass and they're like, okay, we got an idea. What we're going to do is we're going to let him get the secrets. We're going to let him start the ritual. And in the last minute, you're just going to pop in and bing bop, replace him. And then you remake the multiverse.
But really, the dark powers want costs to remake the multiverse so that they can use their power. So it's a lot of like, I'm going to use you to do what I want, and I'm going to use you to do what I want. It's a lot of people playing each other, which is fitting for a game that is all about secrets and double dealings and all of that stuff. So if you're wondering, how the heck am I supposed to disguise Koss as Mordenkainen when they're like, we're dealing with like level 10 up to level 20 characters? They're going to be able to see through illusions pretty easily. Well, that's where the nope magic item comes in. That's like DM magic. So they created this new thing. I forget what it's called. It's a crown.
Crown of Lies?
Crown
maybe?
of Lies.
No. Hold on. I don't know if
It
it's
is Crown of
called that.
Lies?
Yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay. So it is the most perfect disguise that anything can fathom outside of like a wish spell. That is literally the only way that you can see through the illusion. Imparts a person with enough memories that they can reasonably fake that person up to a point where it would fool people close to him. You also can intercept sending and divination spells that are meant for the person that you're trying to imitate. The only way to see through the illusion normally is with a wish spell. That's it. And again, it's not impossible. The game goes at many points saying, while it's highly unlikely, there is a possibility that your players will figure out that Mordenkainen is Koss. Specifically, they couldn't just do it through like magical divination stuff because it's just going to show Mordenkainen. They'd have to go out of their way to like do some investigation and pass some extremely difficult checks to do it. So if they're doing it, just give it to them because they clearly wanted it. And so I love that the book did that. It basically was like, so if this happens, if Koss is revealed too soon, like say in chapter 2 or 3, then you can just skip to the last chapter. It's okay. You're not going to die. Yeah, you're going to your players will miss all the cool stuff, but they're going to feel really badass that they figured it out. And then at that point, they're like, after you confront Koss, there's a good reason why your players might still want to go get the Rod of 7 parts, so they could still do that. But if they just want to go and confront Vecna, then just level them up to 20 and finish out the campaign. I'm just like, that's great. I love that. It's fantastic.
One of those checks is a DC 30 investigation check.
Several of them are. Like, I think they have to pass a DC 30 sleight of hand to get into his room. They have to pass a DC 30 investigation check to like find anything. They have to do a DC 30 Arcana check to figure out that the spells that he's been writing in his books are lacking the certain spells that Mordenkainen is famous for. Or they have to pass a DC 30 investigation check after an hour to decode a cipher system on his journal. And even then, it just tells a weird story about a guy named K and V. And if your players don't know the significance of that story, they're not going to figure out what that book is supposed to mean. They're just going to think, oh, it's a story about people named K and V.
Anyway, that's what we suffered for. No,
yeah.
That is funny. I want to emphasize the mechanic that you highlighted a second ago. The idea that like at any point, if they figure this out, you can just let them go to the end of the game. And it does explicitly call out like, okay, cool. They're level 13, level 14, wherever they are right now. Just level them out the rest of the way to keep going. I will say that feels like it's going to kind of be a little bit dissatisfying. Like you're going to look everybody in the eye and be like, okay, well, take 7 levels and then let's go play this through. It'll be fun. It'll be fine. Ash, I do agree. And I like that they also called out. I think what most DMs are probably going to want to do, because like they want to use the whole book. We signed up to play this campaign. People are excited about it. You can motivate the players, even though Koss betrayed everyone, even though that it's now the Wizards 2 and the Liar, going to find the Rod of 7 parts, going to find those 7 parts and assembling it is going to add value. And you could kind of just make it, this is probably what you want to do. Most teams are going to go for it.
So I think you should definitely impose, like, especially if your players figure the Koss thing out early, they'll skip a chapter. That's not the end of the world. But like, if you want to go back and do the rest of the adventure, there's still really good reason to get the Rod of 7 parts because it is extraordinarily powerful. And there's at least one part in the final dungeon that will save your players a lot of grief if they have this Rod of 7 parts. If they don't, they can still do it, but it's going to drain them of some pretty hefty resources to do it. Because there's a point in the last chapter, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but you go to the different demi-planes that depict a future that Vecna is trying to write, and you have to find this tether that tethers the demi-plane to existence. And in order to dispel it, you need to either spend a charge from the Rod of 7 parts or a 7th level spell, which is brutal. and you don't get a chance to rest. So basically, you're going into a battle at minimum down 3 slots of 7th level spells, which is not good for the last fight. So obviously you shouldn't tell your players that, but kind of give them a push like, Vecna is going to be a rough fight. Maybe you should take every advantage you can get.
Should we talk a little bit about the individual chapters? Because we don't have time to go into super detail, but they're real cool. You get to go some cool places and see some cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So the very, very first one, you go to the Shadowfell. Amanda told us that this was the first time in 5e that official content goes to the Shadowfell. So it's pretty neat. You get to see the city of Neverdeath, which is the Shadowfell mirror of Neverwinter, and it's awful. It's terrible. You don't want to go there, but what a great adventure.
It's actually called Evernight, not Neverdeath.
Oh, gosh. Sorry, it's Neverdeath Graveyard, but yes, Evernight is the city.
There we go. Yeah.
I mean, they're all edgy names, so it's hard to get them sorted sometimes.
Yeah. So what kind of creatures do you expect to meet in a Neverdeath Graveyard, the Shadowfell equivalent to the graveyards of Neverwinter?
Lots of Sorrowsworn. Lots of Sorrowsworn, which I'm glad that they're using because they introduced them in Mordenkainen and they never put them in anything. I thought that was a mistake because the Sorrowsworn are so cool. So I'm glad that they used them.
Also vampires.
And, ghouls and all of the classic undead stuff. So chapter 2.
Chapter 2. Okay, so this one made me nervous because you go into a secret base for Lolth worshippers, and I thought, okay, this is going to be full of spiders and things that I need content warnings for, but despite the subject
there's
matter,
a lot of spiders in this book.
They weren't
There's
in
at
this
least
chapter.
one big one. Surprisingly, the fewest amount of spiders were in Lolth. There's a lot in the second to last chapter, which I was reading through the second to last chapter. I'm like, oh, Tyler's going to have a miserable time with this.
Oh, I did.
But yeah, I mean, there's one really big one. It's the introduction of the spider dragon. Very cool monster. Very creepy location. I do have one question, and maybe you guys can clear this up for me. So it says at the beginning that to get into the Web's Edge hideout, there's a door that's always invisible, right? And it says creatures with the ability to see invisible things can see the door. It doesn't say how creatures without the visible sight can see the door. So if the players just don't take that spell, are they just kind of out of luck?
Yes, honestly. I mean, it's an illusion, so they can still find it by touch.
Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense. There's a lot of things in this book where it assumes that your players are just going to be able. It puts a thing that doesn't have an obvious solution, but then you remember, oh, this is an epic level campaign. Players are just gonna have a way to figure this out. So, especially if they have a wizard.
Magic, would you expect the tech magic also to at least there is something here?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
There's a ton of options. They're gonna be fine.
Yeah, I will say if your group doesn't have a wizard in this game, you're asking for trouble. A wizard makes things so much easier in this game. If they don't have one of those, boy, I hope your artificer has some good skills, man. Yeah, I'm currently looking at this. I'm nervous because the group I'm planning to run this for does not have a wizard. Or a cleric. They don't have one of those either.
Is it just oops all bards? What's the plan?
No, let's see. I believe they have a warlock or maybe a sorcerer. I can't remember. They have
the same thing.
They have an artificer. They have a paladin, and they have a rogue. This is going to be fun.
Okay.
I might have to just give them a sidekick who's like a cleric or a wizard or something.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna come with you, no reason in particular, but maybe in this room I'm gonna be particularly useful. Okay guys, I'll see you later, good luck, bye. On to chapter 3.
Yes, so this one takes place in the Astral Sea, where you're trying to investigate a wreck in the body of a dead god. I love this book.
Yeah. So very Spelljammer, and that's very exciting.
That's all I got.
I did have one issue with this bit of the adventure. They make a big deal about it being difficult to get back and forth between multiple sections of the crashed Spelljammer ship. But the chapter also begins with an explanation of this might be the first time the party's been to the astral plane. While they're on the astral plane, they can move at the speed of thought. So it's okay, everyone can fly. Why is anyone having trouble getting around here? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think it's because when you're on the Spelljammer, you're considered to be in its own gravity, so you can't really do that anymore. Like specifically the astral, if you look at the Spelljammer rules, the way that the astral sea works is that when you're not grounded by any gravitational pull, then you can move through thought. Otherwise, you have to move the entire structure by thought, which you can only do as a Spelljammer.
Got it.
Although I could jump overboard, and at that point, I'm in the propel myself with my brain mode. So like as long as it's not moving too fast for me to catch up, like the barbarian might have a hard time because like the drag of their brain is just keeping them back. But yeah, the wizard's gonna be fine.
I do want to say I think it's funny. This chapter and like the last chapter both have things like Astral Sea and stuff like that. And they assume that this is the first time your players have ever been there. Like, oh, this is really cool. I did a prologue one shot for this group I'm running it for, which takes place in the Astral Sea where they're trying to get something from a crashed Spelljammer in the body of a dreadnought. So you can see where the overlap is here. They're going to be like, didn't we just do this? This is deja vu in the Spelljammer one. And then when there's the dreadnought in the last chapter, like, this also feels like deja vu. I'm just like, thanks, Amanda. Thank you. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering what my players' classes are, I found it. So Rogue, Paladin Warlock multiclass, classic, Artificer, and Bard Warlock multiclass. I'm in so much trouble.
Beautiful. So what I would love to do, we'll run through the remaining chapters and we'll kind of highlight like what's special about it, what's going on. Back in it, if there's anything we're super excited about, like let's come back and just dive in and talk about it. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
So chapter 4, the Eberron one.
You get to talk to the brain of a dead Colossus, which is so cool. Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. God, I love Eberron so much. That's all I got to say about that.
Chapter 5, the Strahd one.
Death House Redux.
Yeah, that's
it's fine.
I don't have an emotional attachment to Death House or Curse of Strahd, so like it seems fine. Strahd gives you some snark, and then you kind of fight him.
Yeah, if you play Curse of Strahd, it's going to feel really familiar. I honestly think this was probably the weakest chapter, if I'm being honest. But it's just because I've spent so much time in Barovia that I'm kind of sick of it. So
that's fair. That's actually something that the people of Barovia have in common with you.
Yeah, no, I know. It sucks to live in Barovia. I get it. Let's move on.
Okay, chapter 6, the Dragonlance one.
Awesome.
So yeah, we're running Dragonlance now, and it's cool. But then like some of the concepts that they bring up, it's like I don't remember this at any point in my 5th edition Dragonlance adventure. These are cool ideas, and I wish we would have done some of this. But you know, either way, lycanthropes, cool, right? I haven't seen them yet.
Oh yeah.
Chapter 7, the Greyhawk one.
This one's fun because this is the first time Greyhawk has ever appeared in 5th edition. Also, I love re-rack as a concept. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. So Amanda corrected us when we did the episode with her. We have been to Greyhawk before in 5e, but to the best of my knowledge, it's only in Ghosts of Saltmarsh, which is kind of subtly set in Greyhawk, but it's never super explicit about it.
Count, Amanda.
Yeah.
That doesn't count. You never made that explicit, and it might as well not. Like,
yeah,
fair enough.
I'm with you on the love of re-rack. So re-rack is a false lich, does not want to be a false lich, does not want to do false lich things, does not want to be stuck in this tomb. So you meet re-rack, and like the notes for how to run re-rack is re-rack tells the players to leave, but it's more like could you guys just please leave?
Can you just go?
Just go away.
I can't be bothered. Please leave me alone. My life sucks as much as it is. Like, I'm like, you know, the cousin that I'm the cousin that a Sararak doesn't like.
You can finish the adventure without killing re-rack, and then re-rack, freed of the tomb, can go and help the local NPCs that a Sararak mostly mass murdered. You can give the false lich a good ending, and I love that.
I know, it's so cute. I wouldn't expect that of like a lich. You would think that you go to the bottom of this horrible tomb and you're going to fight an awful lich, and it's like, no, please, I just want to be left alone. Chapter 9.
Okay, no. Okay, I gotta read this paragraph. If Rirak is with the party, he volunteers to lend his knowledge of the tomb to help the archaeologist in their excavation. He's going to work with local archaeologists to just work through the tomb. Like,
he's such a
come on,
nerd.
everybody. Yeah, it's good. I like.
He's the Lich camp counselor. I love it. Or not chapter 9, chapter 8 is the next one, which is, hey, who's ready to go back to Avernus again? Woo!
Yeah.
You get to drive a vehicle. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Not a horse.
And
That's
you go
true.
to a casino. It's fun. It's fun.
I did actually enjoy reading this chapter. Like there's some fun stuff here. There's mini games you can play. Final boss of the chapter is a tiefling bard. And it's like, who hasn't wanted to beat up their party's tiefling bard at least once?
So many times. So many times.
That's fair.
And now we get to the very spicy stuff. Chapter 9, which is literally just Cost betraying the party. That's it. That's basically the entire chapter.
It's like 4 pages.
What I love about this chapter is they have contingencies for everything. If the players don't want to give him the rod, you have the nice wizard just pressure them and guilt trip them into giving them the rod so that they can look at it.
Mordecai's really smart. He'll do good. Just let him have it.
He's such a great guy. Just let him have it. If they don't want to go to sleep, then you have if they don't want to rest or whatever, you have Illustrial send them on some fetch quest to go find her wife who left and she's missing. And from that, you learn she had her own suspicions about Mordenkainen and was investigating. So you learn out that Mordenkainen isn't who he says he is. But all of this is part of to separate the party from the rod and from the Wizards 3 for just enough time for Koss to enact his evil plan. But if all else fails, just have them fight Koss. That's all you got to do. Not a big deal.
Just fight Koss.
Just fight Koss. But they also put in contingencies for why Illustrial or Tasha can't just solve the party's problems for them because they're weakened by Koss, or they have to, if they're not weakened by Koss, they have to deal with Vecna's forces. And then if all else fails, well, you guys are the only ones with Vecna's tie, so we can't help you. But yeah, essentially Koss takes the rod, attacks and wounds Illustrial and Tasha, and then flees to Pandesmos, which is the first layer of Pandemonium, to go and free Mishka the wolf spider. And that's the entire chapter.
I mean, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot happens in it, but it's not a big deal. Yeah. Chapter 10 is where stuff gets real juicy, though, because now we're in the middle of a war on the plane of Pandemonium, which is wild. And it's also probably Tyler's least favorite chapter because it is full of spiders.
Would you say that we're tangled in a web?
Oh, God, go away. There's spiders, but this chapter is spiders the chapter. There's spiders, there's small spiders, there's big spiders, there's spider people, there's spiders with wolves for heads, there's a demon pit fiend that has a spider head for a head. So it's just oops, all spiders, the chapter.
Yeah.
So Chemlash is the demon.
At one point, there are spiders hollowing out a larger dead spider to use as a base. Just spiders all the way down. Yep. It's awful. This is where you
terrible.
Might get...
And the art they have for it is quite disturbing.
This is where you might get to meet Miska the wolf spider, depending on how the chapter plays out. Players have a lot of choice about how to handle things here, which is really cool. And then the chapter culminates with the players fighting and hopefully defeating Koss. Koss is very takeable. Realistically, at this level, a decent party shouldn't have too much trouble with him. And if you get him below a certain hit point threshold, he'll beg for his life, which feels super crazy because he's a vampire. He'll just turn into mist and float off elsewhere.
I saw that you put that in there. He has very good reason to beg for his life because if you look at his stat block, when he dies, he doesn't do what a normal vampire does. He immediately dies and comes back in a 1d100 years back in the domain of dread. So he doesn't want to go back to the domain of dread. So staying alive is very important to him. So there's a good reason why he begs for it. He's not like normal vampires. There are 2 ways you can handle Koss. The Illustrial gives your players this thing called the Chime of Exile, which is also how you're supposed to beat Vecna. And basically, it's you need to reduce Koss to 50 hit points, and then ring the chime, and then he'll be sent back to the domain of dread. Or you can just kill him, but that's more of a hassle, I
He'll
feel.
also be sent to the domain of
He'll
dread.
also be sent, but it'll take a while. I will say, if you want to make costs more of a challenge, some things I would recommend. First, they don't give him lair actions, but you could. I don't see why you couldn't just come up with some cool lair actions. Or an easy way to do that, if you don't want to come up with stuff, give him his sword. Give him the Sword of Cost. They don't explicitly put the Sword of Cost anywhere in the book, but if you're going to give it to your players, this is a great time to give it to them. It makes sense for him to have his sword. It's an extremely powerful weapon, and it makes him a substantially higher threat. So if you have a party that's really stomping on everything, give him his sword.
In the book, I feel like the one place that they actually directly address this, they have a drawing of the Sword of Kos and the paragraph next to it. At your discretion, the characters might have found the legendary Sword of Kos in this adventure. And so, Ash, I completely agree with you. A great way to give it to them would be like, cool, pry it out of his cold, dead vampire fingers.
Exactly. I think that's the best place to put it. You can reasonably put it anywhere you want. Like maybe they find it in the Colossus. But I will say, if you're going to do that, just be aware that it is a substantial power boost for your players, because the sword it's real powerful. As long as you can overcome its drawbacks, which are also substantial. But yeah, so that's chapter 10, the final chapter, Eve of Ruin. That's what it's called, Eve of Ruin. I think this chapter is very, very cool. Like it's just cool to see, like, even though it's like not real, the world according to the villain. Like if the villain had won. When you kill Kos, when Kos is like begging for his life, he gives you the final secret of the game, which is where Vecna's performing his ritual. And that's when we mentioned at the beginning, that's the one secret that your players, even if they spend it, don't forget. Because again, if they don't have it, campaign's over. Because you don't know where. Because literally they would not know where Vecna is. And because of the way that the Cave of Shattered Reflection is what's called, the way that it works is only those who have a link to Vecna are able to teleport to it. So that's why Illustrial and Tasha can't come with you. You guys go in, and you have to go through 3 demi-planar worlds that show what the world's going to be like if Vecna wins. And it's not pretty. Like, I believe the first one is Kos just being a depressed emo guy because he is being punished and tormented for all eternity. And then there's one where King Neverember is now a Death Knight. So that's fun. He's basically a tyrant. And then there's this one made me sad just because it's basically you come across an astral dreadnought that's eating dead gods, but it doesn't want to. And it's clear that it's dying from eating, because Vecna's such a spiteful jerk that he's just like, I'm going to force you to eat the dead gods, but I'm also going to make it hurt you to eat. The poor dreadnought is so depressed and feels so bad about that. It specifically says that it does not fight back if it's attacked. All it does is just like, okay, you're going to my donjon. Bye. Just leave me alone. I felt so bad for the dreadnought.
Vecna, with the power to make us feel sad for astral dreadnoughts.
I know. But then you do the final fight, and if you've seen the Vecna dossier that they released for free, it's that. That's basically what he is. He is takeable, but he's also pretty hard, I would say. He can, as a bonus action, heal himself for 80 hit points. So he's no joke.
Like, if you just look at his stats and then look at the layout of the room, you might think like, wait, they put Vecna in a tiny box. I'm just going to throw a Hunger of Hadar in there and call it a day. But the room has this cool teleporter puzzle mechanic, and also no teleportation magic works within the area of the fight except for Vecna's bonus action teleport. So Vecna can like teleport behind a wall and have cover and leave you guys to deal with whatever nonsense and like move around and move in and out and cause you trouble. And like a very smart DM can play Vecna here to be massively, massively threatening and dangerous, or depending on your party, you could just have everyone in a 40 by 40 box slapping each other until someone falls down. Pick your poison.
Yeah. It's definitely designed for the DM to play Vecna at the top of his intelligence. If you play Vecna dumb and he stands in one place, he's going to be a very easy fight. So play him at the top of the intelligence. If you think if you still think that your players might still trounce him, the other thing that the book suggests is give him the evil book. I forget what it's called.
Book of Vile Darkness.
Yes, Book of Vile Darkness. Have him use the stuff from Book of Vile Darkness. Or if that's not enough for you, also have him have access to the hand and eye of Vecna if you really want to punish your players. So that would be fun. You're an awful DM. But at the beginning, I mentioned there's a benefit for keeping the secrets and not spending them. And that's where this pays off, is because when the players enter this final battle, they get specific powers based on how many secrets they have left over. Like how many secrets they reveal that they got in total, minus the amount that they then revealed. The more secrets they kept and didn't reveal, the better the abilities that they get. So 3 to 6, each character starts the encounter with inspiration. That's great. It's not amazing, but it's helpful. 7 to 10, characters can see clearly through the cave's crystal walls. Very helpful for pinning down where Vecna is when he's teleporting around. 11 to 14 secrets, which is going to be very hard to obtain because, as Randall said, there's not that many secrets in this book and a lot of them are missable. But if your players do that and they don't spend them, they get to have haste on themselves for 1 minute and they don't suffer the lethargy effects after the spell ends. Very, very good. And lastly, if they get like almost all of the secrets and they don't spend any of them, the characters have an advantage on any Constitution saving throws made in the cave. And this is also cumulative. So they get all of these effects. It's like if they have 15, they get inspiration, they can see through cave walls, they get haste, and they have advantage on Constitution saving throws. That's why you want to give a hint to your players that maybe don't spend all of them. Yeah, exactly, Delta. Aimbots, wall hacks, and speed hacks, and God mode. Yes, that's exactly what it is. I would say don't spoil for your players that this is going to happen, because it's a cool surprise and it's a cool reward for people who had faith. They're like, I don't really feel comfortable spending this, because I think that's the temptation with secrets. It's like, I could spend them now for a quick boost of power, or I could hold on to them and get even more power for when I really need it. It's, I think, just lightly hint or encourage your players that, hey, maybe you should hold on to the secrets rather than spend them willy-nilly.
And it's worth saying, like, how good is that advantage on all con saves? So 1, maintaining concentration is going to be fantastic. 2, all of the named actions that have saving throws in Vecna stat block are con saves.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I overlooked that detail.
Yeah. Vecna becomes trivial with that. But again, that is really a hard buff to maintain. Not only do your players have to get almost all of the secrets, they can miss like maybe 1 or 2, and then they can't spend any of them throughout the entire game. So they're very unlikely to get that.
I can imagine, I'm going to ask you folks, depending on how well my players are doing, I could imagine maybe giving them, let's say, half a point for every spent secret on this table. Like if you found all 17 and you spent all 17, maybe I still give you 8.
If your players need
I feel like that's pretty generous. Sure. Yeah, if your players are struggling, then sure. But I mean, keep in mind that they're spending that much. That's advantage on every D20 roll for a minute. There's a lot of things in this that they'll just trivialize that fight. I don't feel like you need to give them extra help. They kind of did this to themselves. If they have no secrets left, it's like, well, you spent them all.
You made choices.
I don't know what to tell you.
I got
you made choices.
I got you.
Yeah. And these are the consequences of your actions. So again, like, I think if you want a party that feels more powerful, or a party that's really struggling with some of the encounters, and you want to give them the extra boost, then yeah, do Randall's suggestions. But I would be cautious about doing that.
And to be clear, once you spin the secret, once you get to this point and we tally this up, you can't then spin those secrets in the Cave of Shattered Reflections, right? Like they're gone.
What do you mean?
You can't spend them in addition to getting the haste, the advantage on con saves, etc.
I think you can still spend like 1, but again, you can't spend multiple, and like they don't stack. So yeah, I think you can still spend 1, but it needs to basically, if your players are going to do that, then you subtract that and then give them the bonuses. They can't do it after they get the bonuses. So yeah, they would have to do it right before.
Gotcha.
And yeah, Randall's right. It's all con saves. Wow. That's wild.
So I found one more cool little thing in here. So we have stats in this book for Tasha and for Vecna. Tasha is smarter than Vecna. She has a higher intelligence score than he does. I don't know why, but I find that very satisfying. Now, Vecna
hilarious. Holy crap.
Vecna is weakened to pre-godhood status. So, like, this is not Vecna as a deity. I assume this is Vecna immediately before becoming a deity, but still, how often do you get to say, like, yeah, I'm a really good wizard. I'm smarter than a god?
Well, actually, so the reason why this isn't like canonically like before he attains godhood, he's still a god in the setting, but because of the toll that the ritual is taking on him, it basically weakened him to pre-godhood levels. If he wasn't doing this ritual, he would still be a god. So that's the thing.
Yeah, he has funneled a significant amount of his energy into weaving his ritual. Therefore, when the characters finally confront Vecna and try to save the multiverse, he is in his Archlich form and not his divine form.
I want to say, why does Tasha only have hideous laughter and she doesn't have any of the other Tasha spells, like Caustic Brew? What's going on there, Watsy?
Because they can't assume that you
Tasha from before
They can't assume that you own any books except
fair.
the core
That's
books.
Fair.
Yeah. All right. So, guys, we've been through the whole thing.
I'm giving her Tasha's Caustic Brew, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
Yeah. All right. So we've been through the entire book. We've looked at the adventures. We've looked at the creatures. Any final spoiler included thoughts before we call it a day?
This is a great adventure. I love it. It's a lot of fun. If you are a big fan of D&D lore and characters, I think you'll get a lot out of it. It really is a love letter to everything. Like, I feel like this is a really good anniversary game. It pays homage not just to 5th edition, but like all editions. It pays homage to Eberron, Dragonlance, Greyhawk. It brings in really famous characters like Tasha, Mordenkainen. Even though it's not the real Mordenkainen, it's still Mordenkainen. And, Costa's a good imitation of Mordenkainen, a very flawless imitation of Mordenkainen. And, all of the cool different rogues galleries of things. Like, you've got Tiamat, you've got Soth, you've got Strahd, you've got Mishka the Wolf Spider, which again is such a deep cut. Most people don't even know who Mishka the Wolf Spider is because that's like 2nd edition, I believe. It's been since 2nd edition since Mishka came up. And Kos, I've been wanting to have Kos in an adventure forever. And so that was a real high point for me. I think the twist is really cool. I think all of the dungeons are some of the best that WotC's ever come up with. Like, they're very fun and interesting, and they have a lot of cool twists and turns, especially because they don't feel like they have to limit themselves in power and scope because this is an epic level game. And so it's basically like, yeah, some of this stuff is going to be blatantly unfair, but that's because your players are also blatantly unfair. So it's a game that, because it's epic level, you just have to be okay with your players breaking things. And fortunately, the book does a lot to sort of help you if that happens, which I appreciate, because that would have been the biggest pitfall of making a book like this, is not accounting for high level magic and players just sequence breaking things, which they will do. I would go in expecting them to break it. Don't go in expecting them to follow everything that's in this book. Expect them to break it or skip a chapter or two, because that's probably what will happen. But even so, even if they skip a chapter or two, it's still worth running. It's still a fun adventure.
I like it a lot.
Yes, this is fantastic. This adventure is great. I hope I get to run this someday. There's clearly so much love put in this thing. Man, I am sad that I will never get to be a player in this campaign. Dang.
Yeah, because you just spoiled it all for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, does that mean I have to be a player in this campaign? Is that how this is going to go?
No, you can't be a player either, because you spoiled yourself too. You can only run it now. That's a real sad part of this game, is that as soon as you read the book, you can never be a player in this game. And that's kind of heartbreaking, because I, like Tyler, I would love to be a player in this game because it just seems so much fun. But it also seems like a lot of fun to run too. So
I could 100% be a player at his table, where just anytime somebody's trying to make those critical decisions, and like, I don't know, what do you people want me to do? Yeah, I could try that. What I should do is I should play like the harebrained wizard who has no idea what's going on anytime, but they're occasionally basically aim your wand at that, and like that's what I do for them. So like no critical decision making will come from me, and I'm just here for the ride.
I could see it working. Maybe someday.
Yes. To summarize all of our opinions, good. Buy it.
Do it now.
Do it now.
Get back to the single. All hail the Leisure Illuminati. I'm Randall James. You'll find me at amateurjack.com and on Twitter and Instagram at JackAmateur.
I'm Tyler Campstra. You'll find me on RPGBOT.net, Facebook and Twitter, RPGBOT.Net, and most other socials as RPGBot.
I'm Ash Eli. You can find me on Twitter ruining things at Graven Ashes, or on YouTube at Ashraven Media. If you want me to run Vecna Eve of Ruin for you, because I absolutely will, just find me on startplaying.games and I will run it for you, as I'm currently doing for one of my other groups. Link in the description.
I feel like we should have put that before the spoiler free. That way it's like, okay, before you go away. I don't know. Like maybe.
Well, maybe I'll do this for Dan and maybe he can sneak it in. By the way, for any of you who are really interested in playing this game, but you don't have a DM or group to play it with, I will be running this game. Currently, I'm already running a game of it, so I'm probably not going to do a public game unless someone approaches me for it until I finish this first one. But feel free to reach out to me. We can work something out. Go to startplaying.games. Link in the description.
And if you're playing Black Flag or Tales of the Valiant and you're interested in rules content, feel free to check out BFRD.net. If you've enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcast, rate us on Spotify or your favorite podcast app. It's a quick, free way to support the podcast and helps us reach new listeners. You'll find links in the show notes. You'll find affiliate links or source books and other materials linked in the show notes, as well as on RPGBOT.net. Following these links helps us to make this show happen every week. If your question should be the question of the week next week, please email podcast@RPGBOT.net or message us on Twitter at RPGBOT.Net. Please also consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can find all kinds of great rewards. At any tier, you'll get early access to RPGBOT.content and polls for future content. At our $3 tiers, you'll enjoy your choice of ad-free access to RPGBOT.net or ad-free podcast episodes and access to live-stream podcast recordings. At our $5 tiers and above, you'll get all of that, plus access to the RPGBOT.Discord. You'll find us at patreon.com/RPGBOT.
What we can't see that, Tyler. What is the scent?
Sanctuary.
Oh, Sanctuary. It smells nice. It's ginger, incense, and saffron. So, if I ever wanted to know what it smelled like to set myself on fire.
Great joke. Loved it. Loved it.
That was good. I'm in.
It does smell very.
It probably
warm
smells
and
better than that.
Comforting.
And also the candle's pretty good too.